welcome to the program. This is Moneyline with me, Nancy Naji. I hope you all are having a fruitful day so far. Today we'll keep you up to speed with the creative industry. The creative industry in Nigeria, I must say, perhaps is that sector that really is putting us in the good light across the continent, and some other African countries are trying to take the model of Nigeria or even copy what we're doing, our music, our dance, our food, and every other thing coming in from Nigeria. But today we will be looking at the creative industry, the power of the creative industry, especially in the digital era. The African creative industry, because so much is coming out from Africa as a continent, creative-wise. Okay, let's quickly take a break, and when we come back, the show continues. Do stay. At the African Economic Congress that was just concluded, there was a session on the creative industry, and we had heavyweights that joined the session on the creative industry. We had Rich Alela, who is a photographer and an NFT artist, a Kenyan photographer and NFT artist. We have Bright Okpocha, everyone knows him as Basket Mouth. We have Obi Asika, who is the CEO of Cabal Entertainment. Ahmed Sultan is a musician, a prominent and foremost one from Morocco. They did join the African Economic Congress session on the creative industry. In case you didn't get to see that, this is another time to follow that conversation and what we really need to do to make the African creative industry grow from what it is right now. Take a listen.
Thank you very much. Welcome, a distinguished panelists. I'm sure we're going to have a great time today. It's a power-packed session. I have some of the absolute brightest, minds in the space, and I'm sure we're going to have a really, really insightful conversation. We'll be quick about it, gentlemen. We are a bit pressed for time, so I'd appreciate if our responses are curt and direct to the point. For starters, let me indulge me. Let me get some personal education. I'd like to start with, with Rich. Hi, Rich.
Hi, Efe. How are you?
Very well. Good to meet you here. Okay.
Glad to be here.
So, yes, for the totally unschooled, give us a bit of insight as to how does NFT work and how ready is Africa for NFT?
That's a question that a lot of people ask, but very few have answers to. And if I could break it down easily, so technically NFT stands for non-fungible tokens. So back here at home in Kenya, the basic way to break tokens is with electricity, we buy it using tokens. So you are awarded a certain number of tokens, say for example, 60 tokens, which you can use for a month. And then when they run out, you buy more tokens. So when it comes to non-fungible tokens, these are creative content, which can be in terms of photos, videos, or even a mix of both, audio visual, that cannot be reproduced by anyone else on the blockchain. So as a creative, you're able to put up your work up in the on the blockchain and sell it as a non-fungible token. Therefore, therefore, it will have a unique ID which can be traced, and whoever buys the artwork, since there is total transparency on the blockchain, everyone is able to see who owns the artwork and who bought the artwork. So there is a 100% transparency in terms of transaction. Now, the other thing is in terms of secondary sales. One of the things that is making NFTs a big hit is the fact that for the first time in a very long time, as an artist, as a creator, when you sell your work and someone else buys it and sells it to another person, you can earn royalties from the same in perpetuity. And this is captured in a smart contract that is also visible to everyone on the blockchain, therefore ensuring that someone cannot go behind your back to steal your work or use it in a way that is not licensed by you.
Fantastic. So, in terms of your space, Kenya and maybe East Africa by extension, how's the NFT movement? How's it growing? What's the response? Of the people who are creating it and people who are buying it. What's the outlook at the moment from the East African perspective?
So from the East African perspective, and this will also tie in with Africa in general, NFTs are still a new thing. So we launched the first NFT African collection at the beginning of this year, around February. And by then, actually, there was very little traction in the market in terms of NFTs, and very few people understood it. But between February and now, there has been a growing community of people who are interested in knowing how NFTs work, buyers who are interested in buying the art, as well as people creating artworks and selling it. So I would say between beginning of the year to this point, the awareness was probably at 5% at the beginning of the year. But as we speak, it's at about 35 to 40% and growing. Then I can also mention a few NFT artworks. There are a few NFT projects that have launched. In East Africa specifically, there's one called the Kingdom of Ethiopia, which has become a huge hit. And we have seen the artworks fetch quite enormous prizes that were not actually projected. Hence, showing you that people have finally woken up to this idea, and they're willing to not only enjoy, but to also buy the art.
Thank you very much. Finally, before I move on to the next panelist, when you say figures, could you give us an idea, a rough idea of what some of these top figures look like?
So, for example, for the Kingdom of Ethiopia, the average piece goes for around 10 ether. Now, 1 ether is approximately $2,500. So at 10 ether, it means the piece sold for approximately 250,000 dollars.
US dollars. Oh, that's fantastic. Yes. Fantastic numbers. Thank you very much. Let us go up north. My friend, my brother, Sultan Ahmed, welcome to this panel. I mean, we know of all the fantastic things that you and a lot of the creatives from the northern part of the continent have been doing over the last few years, particularly in the area of music. What would you say, in your opinion, is responsible for the kind of numbers that are popping in? I mean, I know, for example, that from Egypt, for example, an artist like Mohammed Ramadan is notching up numbers in the region of 80, 90 million views on YouTube and all of that. What would you say is responsible for this kind of that accelerated growth over the last couple of years in the music made in Northern Africa?
First, thank you so much for inviting me. I respect a lot the work you've done for all those decades in Nigeria, following you and take you as an example, and welcome to all the people, great panelists. Listen, to be honest, I'm not going to talk about a formula or the development of many faces like Moroccan Saad Mzarred, for example, did a video, almost reached 1 billion views. And we have many local artists who are around 30, 40, 100 million views each time they release stuff, even on streaming. I think that is, you guys in Nigeria are number one, I believe, in the continent for that. You know how to create, to enhance, to reveal and to market something. Just look at what Wiz is doing right now, what Tubaba is doing for decades now, and what Burna Boy is doing, and many people also from East Africa. What I really want to talk about is even if we have all those numbers, great deals and superstars, we still don't own nothing. That's my stuff. I mean, sovereignty. That is the key of the business. And sorry if I go deep into that stuff. For example, what I'm doing right now in Morocco with some officials and even artists, I encourage them to think and to understand that artworks, catalogs, and rights are our assets. And number two, those assets gotta be considered as an extension of our sovereignty. And then number three, all those assets and sovereignty can be used as an element of power for our culture. And then after that, that's the concepts. And then after that, you have all the domestic policies that we as Moroccan get to do in our country and you as Nigerians. So each one of us can clean the house to invite guests, to invite investors. And I don't know if you get the key. I mean, if you understand what I'm talking about for example, I'm talking about the private copy model, the private copy tax, the public performance or a diffusion tax. I don't want to call it a tax, but you know, this is some elements of domestic policy that Moroccans get to do, Tunisians, Algerians, Mauritanian, Nigerians get to do in I believe in their own countries. So we can own, we can regulate, and at the same time be able to invite investors and also create the ecosystem of our local major companies. Because if we clean the room, it's I mean the economic room and all the how I say the things that an industry need to grow is to be able one day to create, like the Korean are doing, to create their own superstars and major companies, so we can create a proper industry, so we can manufacture things, sell it in our market, make money, and then be able to talk and compete each other. And then we're gonna build something strong. But you know, for me, it's like to be honest, having 1 billion views or billion whatever on YouTube, whatever, it doesn't mean anything, in my opinion. I prefer the experiences of Spillnet or Arocco, stuff that is African problems, African solutions, things that we can import.
We can own and control. Yes.
Yeah, because
funny enough,
that's the stuff. So you know, I have all of the same idea for years now, but that's still the key.
Yeah, I mean, I can attest to how much work you've put into trying to advance this position and get the local industry. When I mean the local industry, Africa, as a creative space, to understand the importance of ownership, or they understand the importance of legacy, to understand the importance of growing, the balance of power. And when we talk about balance of power and actually soft power, how to effectively leverage it, there's probably no one with more interesting ideas, than Obi Asika. Obi and I, we a bunch of, had different concerns, different fora. A few days ago on our Phoenix platform, Obi was reiterating, this exact idea of creating, then creating your industry the way you want it to function, and have, and make it competitive so you can invite people in to come to the table at your own terms. Obi, please, just we would like to come at this time and share your ideas about the emerging trends within, Africa, as Sultan Ahmed has just elucidated, and how you think we can effectively establish a balance of power as we grow, our outputs and push it towards a global audience.
Yeah, Efe, thanks a lot, man. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Just greetings to all the panelists. I'm in my car, unfortunately, so I didn't have the opportunity to have a laptop, but I heard what Ahmed was saying, and I totally agree. I think the thing is this, first things first, is that we're already in the fourth industrial revolution, and the digital platforms that are global platforms already dominate us in the continent. So what has happened is, you know, we have enormous virality, and the platforms have given us an access we didn't have before. They've given us the ability to be global immediately. But what we need to do as Africans is to build more domestic platforms that we control and that we own. This is what the Chinese have done. This is what the Indians have done. That's what everybody has done. So we have to build our own domestic platforms, connect our own ecosystems, both domestically and across the continent, utilizing these vehicles like AFTCA, but also utilizing the Web 3.0, the actual fact. I love the fact that my man from Kenya was talking about, I think he's from Kenya, about NFTs. I just jumped into NFTs heavy. And I know everywhere talked about this. We're going to bring the entire Nigerian creative community into the NFT space, because I think that really offers a really interesting way for us to be able to control the IP and build new worlds. If you really understand what's going on in the NFT space, some of these people that are driving change are utilizing that new system to actually raise capital, to bypass venture capital and go direct to the storytellers and the creators. And really, depending what you do, you will begin to see that happening on a daily basis. In terms of our soft power, one of the things, I mean, just use this as extrapolation, right? Nigerian soft power at a minimum level, Nigerian influencers and celebrities and musicians and talents have minimum 500 million followers on social media platforms worldwide. If you extrapolate that by a factor of 3, that's you're reaching billions of people straight away. That's a fact of life. If you now take the whole African continent and all the African talent has billions of global followers. What we do not have is we're not monetizing our followers. We don't have the ecosystem. We're not creating the goods, the merchandise, the cultural goods to actually put our products out there. So it's great having Wiz and David and Burner and all these guys, but they haven't toured in Nigeria. We don't have merchandise that they're selling. We don't have the product. So we have to get to product to come out of the IP that we're creating to create product and merchandise that we can sell and monetize, whether digital goods or physical goods. So the key for me is platforms, collaboration, and really all of us have to be disruptive, because at the end of the day, none of us that have been successful or have worked in these industries have ever waited for the government. So what we hope to see with government is to enable these sectors. I believe firmly that the future for Nigeria and for Africa is within the IP. That is our greatest resource, is our human talent. That's by far our greatest resource, the IP that we have. That's what I mean by soft power, is intellectual property, the things we create from the brain, whether it's literature, music, dance, arts, software, technology, architecture. These are the things that are going to own the future. Africa is blessed with enormous talent in that space. African governments need to invest in that, reform education, change the way we approach education, and that will give us the power to actually monetize our soft power. Because all the soft power in the world can't be fully expressed if you don't put the hard power in place. If you don't put basic things like power, infrastructure, that leads to distribution, right? So in Nigeria, for example, we have enormous soft power, but we have disconnected ecosystems. So Kano, Abuja, Lagos, Port Harcourt, Aba, Onitsha, these places that are productive places should be making the goods to back the soft power that is being built out of Lagos. So we have to connect our ecosystems. We have to focus on the platform economies, and we have to understand what is coming, because what is coming is already here. What you hear, Facebook is talking about the metaverse. Anybody in the NFT world knows what this is about. Anybody who's a gamer knows what that's about. This is all about virtual reality, augmented reality, and African IP. I think Africans are probably creating 70% of the dances on TikTok. But with IP, you can own the dance and you can monetize the step. And these are the sort of things I think Agben is talking about. We have to be intelligent in how we navigate these platforms, and we have to build our own domestic platforms. So that's like an opening statement. I hope you heard me, man. Efe, did you hear me? Or did you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you. Yes, sorry.
Okay.
So I mean, that was spot on. And I'm sure that a lot of the participants on this platform, and maybe the viewers at the moment, people who get to check these materials out later, would have would agree with a lot of the positions that you've advanced in your presentation. Now, but I think the key thing, another key angle to all of this is really collaboration. Obviously, can't you remember a few days ago? Let me quote you that we have to bury our egos and and learn to, cooperate. If not, the behemoth, the foreign behemoth, the global interest, will come in and help us, bury our egos and basically take control of the market. Now, in terms of collaboration, Bright or Culture, aka Basket Mount, you have over the years, pushing two clear decades, being in the forefront of of creating um, of creating content, of opening doors, of blazing trail, but also beyond creativity, showing the power of collaboration. What do you think, in your opinion, the major challenges with creatives working together, and how can we overcome those challenges and get much better in the area of collaboration in terms of how we go about delivering our content and making impact, and more importantly earning money for the work that we do in this space.
Hey, first of all, hello. Good afternoon, everybody. My network is not too great, so please permit me just in case anything starts happening. In terms of collaborations, yeah, it starts with benefits sometimes. What am I going to benefit when I collaborate with this guy, And to a large extent, the space, the social media space, is just recently that some brands have started engaging influencers and, actors, comedians, musicians start pushing their brands, and some people don't collaborate because, you know how the industry is. Everybody wants to go hustle for him or herself. And some people are in cliques, like if you see the likes of Sydney Talker and the rest of Black, I can't remember the names right now. Like they sometimes they collaborate, and most times when they do that, the force, because of how large the reach is, the effect is even more felt. But in terms of skits, that's just one angle. In terms of music, in terms of movies, they've not started exploring all those things as they should, and that is one thing that I started doing. And my way of collaboration is not just, oh, guy, come, let's create this together. It's not just that. Mine is, I look at people based on talent. Like if I've created something in my head and I see that this guy can deliver the goods, I'll come and tell you. And definitely they want their own benefit. So the first step is to get the interest of an investor or a brand that will want to support that project. And when I get their interest, I now start collaborating with different talents based on their input and all that. And they all get paid eventually. And it's just unfortunate that we do not have access to a lot of things in this country right now. We all know how crazy the economy is. So not many people have access to the right equipment. Like if you look at the quality, like sometimes they want to create props. They don't have access to that. They don't have the finances, and they don't have the brands willing to collaborate with them. And now let's take a look at, if you look at the industry, you find out that Nigerians, they use a lot of Canons, and they use a lot of other brands as well. And one would think that maybe, I don't know if they're doing it right now, but a brand, a company like that can collaborate if we had a structure, but we don't. We had a proper structure where they can come and say, okay, you know what, guys, we're giving you 50 cameras and 50 this and that, and a space so you guys can come and edit and do all these things. But we still don't have access to these things. That's why most times you look at some content, the color is like this, and the sound is horrible, while the story is very rich, but the execution is just terrible. So, yes, sometimes collaboration doesn't really work out here because of that major fact. The fact that people are really not making that much money enough to want to say, okay, you know what, let's do these things together. But if they start using it in a way whereby, guy, I'm creating a project and I'd like for us to come together and create it. And if we can go together and hustle and pitch for sponsorship, we can split these things, you know. That's what I do. And it works like magic, you know. When it comes to writing the script, I don't necessarily have to gain all the credit. If you look at with Ghana Jollof, the script writer, there were about like 5 of us. You know, I have to collaborate down to write, down to scripting, down to acting, down to everything, down to creative. And you just, you know, we bring everything together and just put everything on the table. And after everything, we break bread. You know, finally, yeah, one last one. For the creatives, when you create something, yeah, and you see that your character cannot carry it, don't force yourself into it. If you know that someone else can carry that character, someone else can drive that project, collaborate with that person, give it to the person. Don't force yourself into something that you're not. You understand? It's still your idea. You're still the one that created it. It's still going to come to you. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, thank you, Basketball. What your position highlights, you know, if you issues around the culture of ownership in the industry. I have my personal experiences over the years. I've seen it in a lot of times where a young African, a young Nigerian who has a fantastic idea. It's just an idea, not a fantastic project, not a fantastic business, not a profitable business yet, just, you know, a great idea. I've seen scenarios where these ideas are executed in such a way that sometimes they become a burden because people are not looking for the right kind of strategic partnerships. So we have a situation where someone who is a great writer concentrates on doing his work as a writer, and you know somebody else who owns a production company, you know, because the production companies, studios that are lying idle with equipment, with stage and all of that, and they're waiting for years for the talent to come and pay 100% of the rental fee to use the materials, right? So when the talent is in one spot and he cannot afford the rental fee, and the studio owner is in another spot and he cannot use, you know, the equipment on his own, there's gross underutilization across the board. Sultan, what this ideal that we're all propagating, building Obi. Obi, I think you need to mute your audio. I think there's some noise still coming from your end. Okay, I think that's controlled. Yes. So, Sultan, within your space, yes. What is the culture with creatives and what the culture within the creative space in terms of how are people joining forces to create the right kind of projects with the right quality of technical excellence and funding that can effectively compete? How are people looking at building platforms, right? Together, one huge platform. For example, you mentioned, you know, Iroko, you mentioned Spinlet, you mentioned a few of these platforms. What do you think is the major challenge? Why are there 6 people building 6 small platforms when there could be 6 people building one major platform or 2 big competitive platforms that can put, you know, put us in that space and be shoulder to shoulder, you know, with everybody else?
Listen, but in regarding to collaboration, for example, what Basket Mouse was saying regarding collaborations, you got to understand that, for example, we in the North, we are looking at Nigeria as a model in terms of trying to to bring on board brands, maybe some politicians, some NGOs and stuff. We are really looking at you as a model on that stuff, because we don't have the same size in terms of bringing on board founders, people who's going to found something, some creative things, the branding, the you know, when you guys, the first time I saw a brand ambassador was the 1-8 campaign, if you remember, when Tubaba was part of RTL, part of the rebranding of all those countries in one step. So that was about, we are looking at you guys like that. So after that, so we decided to copy the system, so same stuff, but we realized that we were, we got in our countries some stuff that, for example, we don't have yet in Nigeria. For example, I don't know how many ShopRites and retail stores you have, but in here we have a lot. We have like 200. In a country with 35 or 38 million of people. So it means that you have a good retail stores and network.
Distribution, yeah. Good distribution network.
This is what it means. But you have that, and at the same time, we have the same problems that the maturity that Nigeria can share with us. But the stuff is, because you don't have the same, the distributions, you developed something, the digital 100%. We are not in the same level of development in terms of the digital aspect of selling a product, a creative product in Morocco in comparison to Nigeria. That's the second stuff second comparison that you can make between Morocco and Nigeria, in North Africa in general. And something else, we don't have the maturity. I mean, the population in Morocco, average age is around 29, 30. In South Africa, it's 28, 30, stuff like that. In Tanzania or even Nigeria, it's like 17, 18. So the politicians got to be close to what the audience are listening and what they like, and so they can be in emphasis. They can be they can be like in the same level of comprehension. That's where we have a big problem in North Africa. They have sometimes some politicians. Things are changing now. Some politicians start to understand now that it's our time to build our platforms locally, owning the catalogs. Because, for example, I don't know who is the publisher of African Queen, of Tubaba. I don't know who published it. Who is the publisher, Efe? Give me a scoop.
Publishing is co-owned from Hypertech Digital and Kennis Music Publishing. Okay,
perfect. So if tomorrow Nigeria want to make African Queen the national anthem, they can. But they can't, but Morocco or even Algeria, they cannot take, for example, Shab Khaled, a famous singer in North Africa, and take one of his famous songs as an anthem, because it is owned by Universal Music. So, you know, so now things are changing.
I understand. I get that picture. I get that picture clearly.
Yes. So just to close, just to finish, just now the politicians are more aware now. They start to understand that it is our time to build our small local platforms, that they can prepare the scene for other African countries who wants to invest in our country, like Morocco coming to Nigeria, or Nigeria coming to Morocco, in terms of creative collaborations, and make money with our own markets.
Make money. Okay, cool. Thanks for that submission. Quickly, Rich, how can regulation be less of a stumbling block to the development of the African creative industry? Maybe let's use the word politics. Maybe
when it comes to regulation, number one, that's something that I have seen, especially with most African governments. There is no proper structure around supporting creative individuals, organizations, or endeavors. And this stunts the growth in a major way. Today, a creative cannot walk to a bank and get a loan based on his idea. He has to have collateral, which he might not have, but his idea might be worth millions. And banks are not willing to take a bet on such a thing. So when it comes to regulations, it needs to start with the governments and in conjunction with the financial players. And this can help alleviate a lot of problems because through this partnership, creatives will have access to more resources, therefore giving them opportunity to try something, fail at it because failure is a huge part of creativity, as well as giving them the chance to succeed where it matters. And that's what makes the big difference. When you look at an average film, to make an average film, you need thousands of people to bring it to life, from set designers, script writers, actors, extras. And these are all industries that, with proper regulation, can offer employment to a lot of people, therefore solving many of the government's problems around employing people. In Africa at the moment, majority of the population, as Ahmed said, are youth. And they are hungry. They are hungry for opportunity. They are smart and they have access to the internet and digital resources. And that's what makes the new revolution, as Obi said. This is the fourth industrial revolution. We are literally at the point where, if I was to take it back, it's like we are at that point when the internet was starting. Only that this time, the internet is a digital universe called the metaverse. And all the things that we are going to create. First of all, it's good to see that artists are now empowered and they know that they need to own their content. Now, with ownership, to bring something to life, you also need to collaborate. And collaboration does not just work within artist to artist. It can also be across organizations. One of the organizations that I've worked with is Canon for a long time. And this is a relationship that started back from when I was in university in second year. So I went up to them. I had ideas, but I did not have any access to cameras. So they would loan me the camera once in a while to go out, take pictures. And over the last 10 years, that relationship has now grown to the point where I am now reaping economic gains from it. So when it comes to collaboration, people need to think long-term. I guess most people are hungry, and sometimes you can even call it greed. They want results now. But you need to understand the power of delayed gratification. That if you put in the work,
if you could hold your
if you collaborate, you will make it.
Thank you very much, Rich. Obi, very quickly, we're almost out of time, and I'd like to actually get in the box and take one or two questions from from members of the audience. But Obi, quickly, how do you suggest that we address the infrastructure gap? The internet penetration and the cost of data, because all of this stuff, our focus is on technology and the internet and all of that. But with infrastructure gap, with high cost of data, with low internet penetration, it will still be elitist, it will still be a challenge. What are your quick ideas as to how, as a continent, as a country, we can address some of, these issues?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think, first of all, I might have some ideas that are a bit controversial. First of all, in Nigeria, we're always complaining about data cost, but we have the cheapest data cost on the continent. So we have to be very careful when we're saying cost of data. Is that really the issue? Or are we creating a productive enough economy to give people enough buying power to do what they're supposed to do? So that's one thing. The second thing is when we talk about collaborations, our collaboration should not just be with each other. If you are WizKid and you collaborate with Warner Chappell Publishing to administer your publishing, that's a perfectly good deal to do, because you want to work with big partners who have scale, who have capacity. We should not be afraid of working with the big global brands. What we should be doing is make ourselves global brands so that when we work, we have leverage. What we have lacked as Africans is leverage and capacity, right? And that comes from having patient capital and deep pockets. This has happened because Africans have not understood the value of the IP and the soft power and their stories. Whereas if you look at America that everybody spent the last 50 years gazing at, America's built on the IP industries. California is principally Hollywood and Silicon Valley. It's the third or second biggest economy in the world, period. And that is 90% of what it drives. So Africans have to actually focus on our original strength and power, which is our narrative, our story, our ingenuity. From Imhotep till today, we have been paving the way for this whole entire world, but we have never told the story. We haven't told our own story, and we haven't pushed through what we're supposed to push through. And that is, I think, the most important thing. I don't think we should be defeatist or be playing victim. What we need to do is stride forward with confidence and knowledge and build ourselves based on what we have and what we can do. I hope that works. I hope that helps everybody. And I think that collaboration can happen in many different ways, but collaboration is most importantly about having the confidence to engage and not being afraid to engage.
Thanks, Obi. Thank you very much. We're totally out of time. Back to Mark, please. I'd like to the audience to hear you. I'm searching for. We'll take one or two quick questions from the audience. But yeah, but before we do that, Bright, how do you advise? Speaking to creatives now, right? How can creatives make the most of the opportunities presented by the digital revolution? Is this still here? Right.
I'm here.
Yes, your final thoughts. Yes. What do you advise? Yes. Go on.
Sorry, I heard the question. Yeah. For every creative, whenever you're creating a content, create a content that is marketable. Create a content that any brand, like if you're trying to create a content that involves a guy and a girl, throw in a waiter that serves water, and that is how you sell that product. So try as much as possible to create things that brands will be interested in. And once that happens, first of all, you have the money to fund the project. And once you give the brand what they want, they'll continue using you. So first of all, whenever you're creating something, make sure it's not just the fact that, oh, it's funny, people will like it. I'm going to have about like 2 million streams. You understand? All those things on Instagram and Facebook. And if on Facebook, if it doesn't exceed 3-5 minutes, you're not making money from it. On Instagram, you're not making money from it. So where you make money from is from the brand. So whenever you're creating content and you want to make quick money, create something that the brands can be interested in. And you do not have to just put it out there. You can go to them and tell them that, look, I've created this. The trick is do one without the brand and do one with the brand. Try and sell it. If it doesn't sell, drop your stuff out and entertain people. And if they like it, they don't have to drop the other version. And, do like that. And I'm just giving you my trick. Damn. It's just to plug it in. And trust me, it works. If you're creating content just to entertain people, yeah, that works too. But how do you make your money? You understand? You make your money from plugging in brands, Yeah,
thank you very much. I'll take one question from the chat box before we quickly wrap. We're totally out of time, but so that the participants on the other side can at least get their thoughts across. Election tile to everyone. If we create and own, how do we stop acquisition of local platforms by foreign platforms? Let's try FaceTime, for example. We can stop the real power, the real owner of platforms. We can't stop the real owners of the platforms not to sell. So I think that's more of a comment than a question. Let me wrap it up for here at this point. Thank you very much. Your quick, in 1 minute, share your parting shots, your final thoughts about the theme that we've discussed today, which is the power of Africa's creative industry in the digital era. One major takeaway you'd like everybody to pay attention to. We'll start from Rich. Then we'll do Ahmed Sultan, and we will go to the speaker, and we'll wrap up with the basketball. Quickly, in less than a minute, what are your final thoughts?
Well, so the first thing that I can say is, for the first time in ages, the playing field has finally been leveled, whereby as a creative industry, we are all playing in a digital space. So as long as you have good internet and you have great imagination, you can create content that can sell globally, and we should take advantage of that. Secondly, we should aim
thank you very much. Thank you.
Own the content. Yes, and collaborate. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thanks, Rich. Ahmed, 60 seconds, your final thoughts for everyone here. Your mic is on mute. Ahmed, you need to unmute your microphone. Thank you.
You already know what I'm going to say. Build, manufacture, own, be patient, and believe. That's all.
Thank you very much. Obi Asika, your final thoughts in 30 seconds.
Where's Obi?
Okay, basket mouth while Obi is taking a sip of water.
Yeah, so I'd like for you guys to be fearless, be brave, and try as much as possible to create things that will educate more than even entertain these guys, because you are the source of information. So while you're making them laugh, try as much as possible to draw some very positive information in your content. Let's try and spread this message, right? Yeah.
Thank you very much, right? Obi, are you there? Can we take your final thoughts in 30 seconds? Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. I'll hand you guys back over to the MC. But the key, to round up the entire session, the key takeouts are basically that it's here, it's now, the opportunities are abundant. Creatives and everybody within the value chain should make the most of it. There's a level playing field, the opportunities abound. Do the work, put in the work, collaborate, grow, the industry, and more importantly, pay attention to building, pay attention to owning, pay attention to controlling, and so we can have proper balance of power going forward. So we're not at the end of the day just creating content that we do not fully control long term. Thank you very much, everyone. From me here, it's bye for now.
Thank you for having us. It was a pleasure.
Thanks.
Bye.
Welcome back. And I think on this note, the program ends. Thank you all for joining us today. Be the best you can be and be the change that you want to see. I am Nancy Naji. Bye-bye.